players. And we tell them that every day. You're going to determine how much you play, and based on what you do every day in practice. But part of earning that playing time is doing things the right way and how we want to play, and buying into that. And because at the end of the day, it's not like 3 guys win and 2 guys lose, or 1 guy wins and the rest. It's a win or a loss, and winning helps everybody get to where they want to get to. That's bottom line.
How was he since he won?
Oh man, his shot has gotten. He lives in the gym, right? My man's shot has gotten a lot better. His ball handling has gotten better. His decision making, and we're working on his focus, because when he's locked in, he's really good. He just has a tendency to not stay focused at times.
How hard was it when you have all those guys leave the program, and then, like you said, you got 2 guys, and you're going through your board and picking out guys that you want? That just whole process. I mean, how difficult was that for you and your staff to try to sort through all the hundreds of thousands of guys that were in the transfer portal?
I'm going to say it this way. The guys that we have on the team, they've all been worth the wait and the process that we've gone through. And the guys who chose to stay, super thankful for them, and they were the right ones to stay.
Coach, can you describe what your relationship with Scott Drew is like? I know you said a little bit earlier you guys are brothers, but you rebuilt something into one of the best programs in the country together.
That's like the icing on the cake, right? That's not the meat and potatoes of it. So I still remind Coach Drew like this. I called him I think it was a week ahead of time, because it's saved in my phone that his anniversary was that week, so that he would remember to get a present if he hadn't yet or whatever. He still calls and checks on how my kids are doing, and it's like we rarely talk basketball, right? So it's when I say like he's like a brother that I like, 'cause, you have some brothers that it's just he's just that.
You waited a really long time to take a head coaching opportunity, right? Like, you could have bounced to different places, but you decided to stick with Baylor for so long. What was it about staying there that made you feel like it was comfortable before ultimately coming to K-State?
All right, so it's easy to stay, right? Because Baylor's the largest Baptist school in the country, and it's not that denomination's important, but my faith is extremely important to me, so I could freely share my faith and be myself at Baylor University. I worked for and with the best guy in America, right? My man brought in marriage counselors, to help us all become better husbands, and he'd bring in a parenting expert to help us be better fathers. And so I had a great quality of life, right? So I could, if I need to go watch my son play a game or go do something with my wife, at any time I could do that, right? So that was, so he allowed me to grow as a coach and do everything that I wanted to do. And so I had a great quality of life there. So it wasn't, it was real easy to stay there. But with Coach, he, his thing was that he always wanted, he always told us, man, don't leave for an assistant job, right? I want to make it the best assistant job. Leave for a head coaching job. And to get the opportunity to leave for a place where you can win a national championship at, in the best conference in America, that, you really can't turn that down.
That's a hard balance. You said you were really comfortable with the people at K-State as you were going through the hiring process. What was it about the administration that made you so comfortable?
Well, Gene is such a down to earth dude. He's like a dude. Just it's just real cool. He just I think Gene knew what he wanted or what he needed, and once he pinpointed it, it was don't mess around with other stuff. Let's just do that. And I felt I felt wanted, and not just by what they said, but by the actions.
Family atmosphere is something that K-State, they talk about that when they recruit high school students to come to K-State. You're now embodying that with the basketball program. Do you think that's probably another major factor with wanting to be at K-State?
Well, I didn't know, like, I thought I knew about the passion of our fans until I got here, and then it was like, holy crap, these dudes, like, it's crazy, right? Like, I mean, it's next level. And then when I started talking to students and I asked them why they picked K-State, and they told me about, man, well, I was walking on campus during the visit and students were just saying hi to me, or I saw students engaging in conversation and how friendly they were. And so like I've learned about what a real family environment we have. And I just want to put my take on the family environment into what we already have.
The guy that doesn't get talked about much is David Gasson. What has he brought to your team, and how do you think? What kind of role do you think he'll have this season?
Well, David won an ACC championship last year and played major minutes in a team that went to the NCAA tournament, right? So he knows how to win, right? Being an international kid, he has an appreciation for the opportunity that he has here at Kansas State, just being here. And then at 6'9", 6'10", he can dribble, he can pass, he's got a nice shot, he can finish around the rim, we can really move him around the floor, and then he can switch and guard anybody. He can guard a 5, he can guard a point guard. And so that's going to give us a lot of versatility on defense.
What is that defensive philosophy?
Guard the ball, contest the shot, rebound. That's what it is right there. It doesn't matter what you do. You got to guard the ball, you got to contest the shot, and then you have to rebound the basketball.
And how's that coming along? Are guys picking up on that?
We're okay at guarding the ball. We're better at contesting the shot. We got work to do rebounding.
How do you contest a shot without fouling?
Huh?
How do you contest a shot without fouling? What's the key to that?
Don't hit him. I don't know. It's just contest doesn't mean block, right? We don't need the block shots. We just need to contest shots. It is. There's tons of stats out there that say, shooting percentages go down 17%. From an uncontested shot to a contested shot. That's the difference between 30, you win the game, 47, you lose the game. And so we just have to contest 75 to 80% of the shots that are taken in a game. It's going to give us a better chance to win.
Is that hustle, you think?
Well, it's hustle and position. That's why, switching is so important to us, because I don't believe mismatches hurt you. I believe open shots do. And so, if you can switch out aggressively and be there, you can have a chance to contest a shot.
Coach Naquan didn't play high school basketball. Obviously, you're aware of that. Have you ever coached someone with that kind of situation of not playing high school basketball? His core as basketball players, Rucker Park of all places.
No, that part of it doesn't, the great thing is that he's a blank canvas, and you can teach him your way, and he's very coachable and open to be coaching. So to me, when a kid loves the game so much that when he wasn't able to play high school basketball, that he continued on with it and went to junior college and rode in vans and ate number 4s at McDonald's. And now he's at Big 12 school, and he's gonna fly charter flights and have great meals. His appreciation, his care factor is high.
Can you explain how that's maybe helped him on the basketball court so far through the first several weeks of practice?
It's just his care factor. When you've eaten cheese sandwiches on a van with 15 other guys, driving 4 hours to go play a game, and then now you're in the Big 12 and you've got great facilities and resources and stuff, you just appreciate, you don't take it for granted, and that is the biggest thing, because we can always remind him about that.
You said he's a blank canvas. As a coach, how much fun is that for you to kind of help mold that and just make that painting nice?
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, because he can learn it for the first time your way. You don't have a bad habit to break. you can build good habits.
You talked a little bit to us with the officials about a major point of emphasis this year is getting the coaches in the coaching box.
Mm-hmm. Is this yours?
How are you on the sidelines? We haven't seen you on the sidelines. Do you know how you're going to be on the sidelines? Are you going to be up moving? Because Bob Huggins said you might be like Frank running up and down the sidelines.
Yeah. Well, I don't have Coach Huggins' clout. I can't sit on a stool and the refs are going to come running over to me and I can, get my point across. So I'm probably going to have to be a little bit more. I don't like to sit down, which even as an assistant, I think a lot of people found that out. I got so many calls, bro, you don't ever sit down. You're like the only assistant in America that gets to stand up the whole time. And so, I don't like to sit down. My second year in high school basketball, I told our administrator, Dr. Cooper, I said, hey, I was watching Duke play and Mike Krzyzewski was sitting down the whole time. And I think I'm going to take a page. I'm going to sit down. And she smiled and went on around her way. And then the very first game, 2 minutes into it, I was up yelling at the referees, going up and down the sideline. And she told me, Jerome, I knew that wouldn't last. And so I'm probably going to be in a defensive stance, a little animated. Hopefully I can mature at some point in time in my life where I'm not moving up and down the sideline, but that's probably me in a nutshell.
You don't anticipate losing your voice, is what you're saying?
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like I have a pretty good voice. So, I used to be a preacher, so, I'm used to talking and yelling and stuff, so I'll be all right.
How do you plan for the communications to go with your assistants? As you got freedom now as the head coach to move around, get your defensive stance, say what you want to the officials. But like Coach K sitting there, maybe he's talking to his assistants more on average than the guy who's standing. How do you see that playing out?
I'm going to talk to our guys a whole bunch before the game tips, so I get all their ideas, right? And then, because during the game, I remember we was doing an inter-squad scrimmage, and I was on one side and Scott was on the other, and we were all sitting down, and a couple of the assistants were on my side with me, and man, I was there and they just kept talking, and I'm trying to watch the game and figure out what to do, and they just kept talking. I was like, after the game, I was like, dude, I went to Scott and I apologized. Dude, I'm sorry if I do that to you all the time, because you can't even think if everybody's sending all this stuff at you. And so I learned those 4 games that I coached at Baylor. I moved way down the scoreboard so that I could be away from the staff. And then when I wanted some thoughts, I'd walk back down and see them. And that's how I am.
How about when you go to timeout? Do you have a routine a lot of people now meet for a little bit before they go talk to the players?
Yeah, it'll a 30-second timeout. I probably have a reason why they called it or I called it, and I'm going to get right to it. Media timeout, I'll listen to some thoughts, give the guys some time to get a drink and settle down, let them talk to each other. Because some of the best coaching happens when we're not in there, right? When they're talking about what they see and what's going on. And then I can come in and tell them what I see and what I think.
Jerome was the first guy you brought in, transfer-wise.
Yes.
How has he grown since being on?
You seen his muscles?
I
Yeah. Did you see that LSU picture and
Yes.
and the one? I mean, Jarrell's a kid who, since he was in the 8th grade, people have given him things because of his talent. And therefore, whenever there was a struggle or it didn't go his way, it was real easy to find someplace else that wanted him because of his talent. And he never learned to make it through some tough things that it takes, that you have to do in order to be good at this game and in life in general. And his parents have said, hey, coach, he's yours, and we want you to coach him, take care of him, do what you want to with him, and help him get to where he's capable of getting, and didn't put a timetable on it. And so I've seen great growth in him, both on and off the court, being where he's supposed to be on time, and doing what he needs to do when he's there. And just that type of maturity off the court then will lend to things happening on the court for him.
Who's going to be more of the vocal leaders inside the huddle? Like when you said, when you step away, who's going to be the guys that hold some other guys accountable?
We have this saying on our team: if you see something, say something, and that's everybody. And so we'll have a team of guys that are not going to be afraid to, when they see something, to say something.
You're already off to a really great start recruiting for K-State, but I'm curious, how integral were you at Baylor in that realm?
I didn't do any recruiting.
It's new to you.
I mean, kids came to play for Scott Drew in Baylor University. That was easy. Alvin and John Jacobs. We had a staff with Jared Nunes. I mean, those dudes did an unbelievable job recruiting.
And how do you think your staff's doing with that right now?
You tell me. You tell me. I think I got the best staff in America. And y'all like numbers and stuff. We could sign 5 top 100 kids this year, but that's probably not the best thing for K-State. And so we're going to be real careful and bring in the right guys. But there going to be some special talent that's going to walk across campus in the next few years.
And I mean, I realize it's probably just because of your personality and the guy that you are, but how do you lure guys like Marco Bourne, who was an associate head coach before taking a job now to be a support staffer, and a guy like Kevin Sutton? How do you get guys like that on your staff?
Man, I think a lot of the credit goes to the good Lord and his timing. And that Kevin Sutton, they came off of a really good season at Florida Gulf Coast and had 3 of their 3 best players returning, and the athletic director decides to make a change and then asks Kevin to stay on as an assistant, and he's not going to do that to the guy who gave him a job, I mean, so that was great timing for us. And Marco and I have talked. Marco coached Greg Monroe in high school. He was the #1 player in the country, and we were early in our career at Baylor, and we offered him as an 8th grader, and I recruited him hard, and it was Duke, Georgetown, the whole Kansas, and Baylor.
Yeah.
And he put us on the list, and I remember some people around him says the #1 player in the country does not put Baylor on his list. But I mean, Miss Monroe still texts me Happy Father's Day to this day, and Greg is still a great, Marco and I are friends.
Yeah.
And so we've talked about being on staff together for a while.
I'm a Piston fan, so Greg Monroe is I like to name Greg Monroe.
You've got such a big staff between all the support staff and GAs. I mean, is it just, hey, if you can bring any value to our team, let's bring you in?
Many hands make light work, right? And our GAs can spend more time with our guys in the gym than we can. And so it's really important. At Baylor, right now it's 15 guys that were either managers or GAs for us are in the NBA front offices, right? And so we're going to track really special guys who want to get their masters at Kansas State and work in the basketball program because they want to go into the basketball business, whether it's college coaching or in the NBA, and they're going to invest a lot of time and energy into our guys while they're there. And that's why our player development program is going to be so good.
Curtis Kelly was one of those guys you did keep, and now he's a GA, obviously. I mean, I'm sure you remember playing, or when he was playing against you.
I remember watching Curtis in high school. I remember playing against him while he's at K-State.
No-brainer to keep him.
Oh man, I love Curtis Kelly. He's a hero. You walk around Manhattan with Curtis Kelly, and you're a superstar. That's so.
More important than you?
Of course. Hey man, my man's got his name. He's top 5 shot blocker in Kansas State history. Did it in 2 years. He'll let you know he only was here 2 years. If it was 4, he'd be at the top of the list. Led team to an Elite 8. And, he's a legend.
Coach Keontae said that you went to several doctor's appointments with him for his heart. I know you said you're not aware of things that went on in his past, but what was it like for you to kind of be a part of that process of getting cleared again?
Well, I did that with some guys at Baylor also, and so I had a relationship with his doctor already, who was world renowned in it, and so that was really easy to do, and because I learned a lot about the whole situation before I ever met Keontae.
He said that he kind of has an added comfort level because of your experience with Jared Butler and the things that you went through at Baylor. Do you have a comfort level or confidence in yourself to handle that in the correct way? Or like, how exactly are you handling it? If that makes sense.
Yeah, Jared wasn't the only kid that we had that Baylor went through, so there was multiple times, and so having helped someone get back in shape with that, you have some signs, some telltale signs of, that they have to. It's the young person has to understand that the doctors have cleared him, and he's going to be okay. He just has to figure out the difference between his lungs stretching and something else. And once they figure that out and have that confidence, and it takes some time, he'll be fine.
Have you seen his confidence slowly
Oh
start to
yeah,
grow? And
yeah,
what's that like for
yes.
you?
After we made it through Shark Week, you could see a difference in him.
You said Shark Week?
Yeah.
How'd they handle that?
Huh?
How'd they handle that?
Oh, they were great. I mean, they did more than they thought they could do.
What is entailed in Shark Week?
You got to ask them that. You remember the Shark Week would be on the Discovery Channel? Yeah. There was a lot of discovery going on.
Are you throwing them in the water?
Just
Swim away from the great whites? Get your cardio that way?
Kobe Bryant once said it's a whole lot different watching it on the Discovery Channel than it is actually getting in the water with the great whites. And that's what we want to get them to, where people, it's a whole lot different watching us on TV than actually being on the floor with us.
What can you say about the strength staff? You
Phil
mentioned
Byer is unbelievable. But I knew that for years because Charlie Melton, who I think is the best strength coach in America at Baylor, I would always ask Charlie, like the last 7 to 10 years, Charlie, who's really good out there? If I got a job, who's really good? And he'd always mention Phil's name. And then Phil worked for Grant McCaslin at North Texas and was on there before he went to Miami. And then you saw the team at Miami this past year. They played in the Elite Eight. And my man was on the sand, on the beach in Miami. When I called him and said, Phil, I need you in Manhattan, Kansas. And he hopped in his car and drove. And so, yeah, it was really cool.
He didn't even hop on a plane.
No, he drove.
Way
26
better
hours.
exercise if you're driving, right?
Hey, Coach, I was curious, how soon after the poll came out did the sheets of paper magically appear in the locker room?
I don't know. Maybe the next day for sure. I mean, we're just. It was on Twitter. Like it wouldn't have mattered. The guys see it.
Yeah. What kind of motivating factor is that?
I hope not a great one. I hope the motivation comes from internally and not what people say externally. But it does put a little chip on the shoulder when they walk out to practice the next day. So.
Yeah. Great.
Is Desi Sills coming along as quick as, or quicker than you thought he would?
Desi's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Desi's a competitor, and he knows what it takes to win. And he's won his whole life, and so Desi's gonna be fine.
You think he brings a certain edge offensively that you kind of needed to add to this team?
He brings an edge, period.
Yeah.
Defensively, offensively, in his approach. I mean, I got a clip of him running the lane in transition, right, that I'm going to show to the team. Like, watch this dude run, he just has a different approach about him.
I think it was Marquise or Naquan told me that, he's catching on to things that you guys do before he even got here. It seemed like he's come in and done things the right way right away.
Yeah. Well, he's watched all the practices, and we've done Zooms with him to keep him up to date on what's going on. So.
I think it was after you got hired, I talked with Tweety Carter, and he said one of the best memories that he had with you was it was a practice and you were yelling at them or something. You actually got in there and joined them. Have you gotten to join them here at K-State and mix with them?
No. That's back when I was 40. Tweety, 2006. Yeah, that was back when I was 40.
I thought you were 40 now.
No, I can't. Tim Maloney told me one time. He said I demonstrated a defensive drill because they weren't doing it right, and and I demonstrated, and I got hit, and I fell very slow. Like, you ever see those cartoons where the guy like falls real slow? in my mind, I was like, dude, I was trying to get my balance. I'm, dude, you're about to go down. And I like all these things, and I hit the ground, and I get up, and I'm, because I'm real intense, and the guys, they don't want to laugh, but they want to laugh, and after we get done with that, and they go off, and there you hear them, they're laughing, and Coach Maloney puts his arm around me and says, hey, Coach, after you turn 40, you only demonstrate shooting and ball handling. Only shooting and ball handling. And so
That's why you got all those GAs, right?
that's why you got the GAs, yep.